The very early and intriguing days of Rome are a mystery that still baffles historians and archaeologists to this day. Everything about the founding of Rome and its first king, Romulus, is a mixture of myth, history, and even mystery. This mix of historical information overlaps and varies. Historians don't seem to agree on a definite story. However, in recent years, archaeologists narrowed some of the gaps and confirmed that the myth is nothing but a metaphorical and rather poetic manifestation of Rome's first 250 years of existence. The Legend of Romulus and Remus. The legend of Romulus and Remus states that they were the sons of Rhea Silvia, who was impregnated by the god of Mars. She was the daughter of the king Numitor of Alba Longa, a mythical city believed to have existed before the establishment of Rome in the Alban Hills southeast of what would later become Rome. Amulus was jealous of his brother Numitor and desired the crown at any cost, so in 794 BC, after their father Procus died, he killed his brother, who served as king for a short period, and also forced Rhea to become a Vestal virgin dedicated to serving Vesta, goddess of the health. His goal was to make sure that she doesn't give birth to a possible heir that would rival him for the crown of Alba Longa. However, as the myth goes, Rhea Silvia was impregnated by force by the god of war Mars. Soon, she gave birth to the twins Romulus and Remus, which drove Romulus mad, and he ordered that the infants be drowned in the Tiber River. However, the trough in which the twins were placed floated down the river and came to rest at the site of the future Rome near the Ficus Romulus, a sacred fig tree of historical times. A female wolf named Lupa and a woodpecker, who were both considered sacred to Mars, the god of war, stumbled upon the twins by the riverbank and nursed them until they were found by the kind shepherd Faustulus. Faustulus took the infants back to his home for his wife Laurentia to nurse them. She later became the goddess of fertility. Faustulus and Laurentia raised the boys as their own, and they grew to be shepherds. According to the legend, Faustulus was aware of the royal lineage of the twins from the beginning because he was aware of the king's orders to drown the twins. Later, Faustulus, along with his brother Pleistonus, was killed in the same skirmish that resulted in Romulus slaying his brother Remus. Later, the two ruled the new town together for a short period. However, they argued and quarreled again about building a wall around it. In this fight, Romulus killed his twin brother Remus and became the sole ruler and king of Rome, which he named after himself. Romulus was desperate to populate the new town, so he offered asylum to fugitives and exiles from across the land. However, this resulted in a place free of women. So he gathered his town's residents of mostly violent criminals and freed slaves and decided to abduct the women of the nearby kingdom of Sabine to populate the newfound Rome. His plan involved inviting neighboring Sabines to a festival and abducting their women, then forcing them to marry his men. His plan worked. However, King Titus Tatius of Sabine was displeased and declared war on Rome. As the legend goes, the Sabine women intervened to prevent the Sabine men from seizing Rome and killing its men who fathered their children. As a result, a peace treaty was agreed upon. Soon, Sabine and Rome merged under the joint rule of King Romulus and King Titus, who soon died in circumstances that have been described as a plot by Romulus to become the sole king of the new, larger, and richer Rome. After a long and successful rule, Romulus died under obscure circumstances. It is said that he was last seen entering a thunderous violent storm to check on his troops, but he vanished in a whirlpool. Many Romans believed he was changed into a god and worshipped him as the deity Quirinus, Rome's earliest god of war. As exciting as this legend sounds, and even though it's well documented, but with some conflicting variations and the presence of many monuments in Rome, particularly in addition to many old books that glorify the myth, it's widely accepted that the story is mostly fiction. In ancient times, it was common to use myths to simplify stories involving important figures or events. The stories were mostly created to teach the mostly illiterate, uneducated, poor simple-minded masses about something important and meaningful, while glorifying the main characters or victories, while establishing a relationship with the gods and the divine realm. The most accepted story of King Romulus of Rome. Most historians believe that Rome officially came into existence in 1753 BC. The real story behind King Romulus and Rome itself is much less exciting and dramatic than the legend. Today, it's widely agreed that the city of Rome grew out of 7 small Latin settlements that existed around 7 hills that were near the river Tiber, which was also narrow enough at the time, and thus easy to cross by the settlers from one side to another. These settlements are believed to have coexisted and traded before the joint venture. They were also successful farmers and shepherds. Their location near the river and on fertile land is believed to be the main reason for not quarreling over resources. A few historians believe that after the Greeks defeated the Trojans by using the trick of the wooden horse, they destroyed Troy. However, Aeneas escaped with some of the riches of Troy and a group of refugees. Mind you, that even the story of Aeneas is sort of a legend. He was the mythical hero of Troy, son of the goddess Aphrodite and Anchises. Aeneas was a member of the royal line at Troy and a cousin of Hector. He played a prominent role in defending his city against the Greeks during the Trojan War. Nevertheless, Aeneas and the refugees wandered in the Mediterranean but soon found a new home in central Italy and established a town where Aeneas married the princess of an Italian king of another nearby settlement. This marriage resulted in the birth of the twins Romulus and Remus. After they grew up, they decided to co-found a new city. However, Romulus killed his brother Remus during an argument and went on to become the first king of the new Rome, the city he named after himself. Romulus picked Palatine Hill, one of 7 hills near the Tiber River, for the location of the small settlement of Rome. The homes of New Rome were made from wood with thatched roofs with a palisade to protect the village from intruders. To populate his new settlement, Romulus went back to his home settlement upriver and asked those who wanted a fresh new start to come and populate his new village. To his bad luck, most of those who decided to leave with him were mostly slaves, criminals, and those trying to find an escape from their debt. The Roman men tricked the Sabine men into attending a party to the god Neptune and abducted their Sabine women. These women eventually married the Roman men and gave birth to the first generation of Roman children. As a result, the Sabine and Roman communities avoided war and began to merge. This merger was probably followed by a hostile takeover or peaceful merger of the other nearby settlements, which naturally resulted in a large and very rich Rome under the rule of Romulus as king. Therefore, Rome from its early days was a rich city. Its wealth created jealousy and attracted invaders such as the Etruscans and the Samnites. This was one of the main reasons Rome invested heavily in a massive organized, well-trained army that led the city to victory and major expansion. By 300 BC, the Romans controlled most of the Italian peninsula, which led to the emergence of the Roman Republic. The monarchy of Rome. 7 kings ruled Rome at the beginning of its history. After Romulus died, the next 4 kings were elected by the Romans. The 6th, Servius Tullius, inherited the throne, and the 7th, Tarquinius Superbus, was a usurper, killing Servius Tullius to gain the throne. The second king was Numa Pompilius. He reigned from 715 to 673 BC. Numa Pompilius was a Sabine who gave Rome its religious ceremonies. The third Roman king, Tullus Hostilius, who reigned from 673 BC to 642 BC, was a warlike king who had many battles against the neighboring peoples of Rome. Ancus Marcius, who reigned from 640 BC to 616 BC, was the 4th king of Rome. He extended Roman territory by defeating the Latins in several battles. After Ancus, Rome was ruled by 3 Etruscan kings: Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, Servius Tullius, and Lucius Tarquinius Superbus. The Roman monarchy system lasted until 509 BC. It ended with a political revolution that replaced the then existing Roman monarchy under Lucius Tarquinius Superbus with a republic. Rome prospered during and after the reign of its founder Romulus. Its glory days included the massive global Roman Empire that was founded when Augustus Caesar proclaimed himself the first emperor of Rome in 31 BC and lasted for 1,000 years.